should be showing now. Yeah, here we are. We are also displaying on YouTube. Sorry about that, guys. So if you're already watching on Twitch, I had a slight issue with YouTube, but it all seems to be working fine now. If you are watching either on YouTube or on Twitch, let me know if there's any issues. But let's get to the designing part. So what are we actually working on? We are working on a street made to look a little bit like a market street, but it's a street, 4 different tiles, so that you've got the street section in between. And of course this will be joined together then, right? But I'm having them separate so that I don't overlap market stalls, so that it's completely modular, so that we can, for example, all have them in one row as well if we want to, or one like this and 3 in a row, or the whole idea is that it's modular, right? And this is to tell the story of the bleeding woman that bled for, just top of my head, 18 years, I believe, and she gets healed by Jesus when she touches the figment of his garment. So that's what we want to use this set for. But then obviously this set could also be used to just be a market street, and you could tell other stories or have it part of the city. That's the idea. So we already made a start with some market stalls. Obviously they're all copies of each other, so we want to make them different. And the question is, we could make this one longer, or even a shorter one. But then, so this is a 6, we could make that an 8 and then do a shorter one. The issue is, if we do a shorter one, there will be no space for a minifigure to stand into the market stall. So if I quickly grab, not that she works in the market stall, but if we grab her real quick, so we can put her here and then rotate like so. Well, let's do one back just so the arms don't clip. There would be perfect space for her to stand behind the market stall, right? So we could make this one 2 studs wider, but then what are we going to do with the next one? So if we did do a bigger one, the next market stall would have to be something completely different. Which I'm not sure how. We'll have to give that a think, right? This is all part of the creative process to see what works, what doesn't work. So let's actually delete one of these. I can always make a copy again of the other one. Again, this doesn't even have the right colors, right? So let's delete all of this. So I'm just clicking and pressing delete. That's all I'm doing here. And there you go. That's that one gone. And then what we want to do is we want to extend this one 2 studs over, right? So let's select multiple. Have that move over like so. Then we also want to have this move over. Like so. Of course, we'll have to come up. Pardon me. I'm still not 100%. That's why. Wow. I guess the coffin actually made the bitrate on Twitch go well, because it's actually green. Anyway, I guess a little bit more building and less talking. like so. And then instead of a 6, we can make that an 8. So let's go to it's a 6 and that's an 8. There you go, and then we need the 8 like this to go underneath. If I can get to clip it. There you go. Then we've got that right. We just need to add 2 more, which will be easy by going 1, 2. Copy that as well. Control paste. Boom. And then we can make these the same red, or I mean we can even go for a different color. These ones could be the regular green, for example, and then we make all of these the regular green. Now what we do want to do, and I'll show you what we've done there, I'll just put this to the side real quick. So these are all these 2s, and we can then just copy paste and put another one there, and this could be a 6 instead of a 4 brick. We've got the 6 brick here, and there you go. That's an easy fix. Now obviously we need to make it the regular brown. This can then also be a 6, which actually we can take from here. Control copy, and there we go. And that's it, pretty much already fixed. We just need to, and I don't know if there's a 2x4 actually in the tile. Is there? There is. So we can actually remove these ones, take the 2x4, and put that here. Now obviously I made them brown, but they could be anything. They even could have a custom print to say something specific, or to do something specific, right? So yeah, I could even have the text in Aramaic of what it's selling, right? But for now, let's make them brown. And so we have one big, and then because this is a market, we could then have stuff like I mean, this is quite an easy fix, right? Like it's the regular barrel. If you already put that, you already have a fill of what I guess would be at a market, right? And maybe you want a I'm just gonna look through if you can read this. Then maybe you already know what I'm looking for. Sometimes you think something is called a certain way, a certain part is called a certain way, but it's not, which makes it hard to find the right thing. I think we're getting to where we want to be. Yeah, okay, or maybe not. So obviously not a shopping cart, they wouldn't have had that. Now, a wheelbarrow, no, not like this. They wouldn't have had this kind of wheelbarrow. It's not era appropriate, I would say. Now, would it be more like this or something along these lines? It is kind of big to have this, and this is, I think, from this is from Fabulant. I wonder. Yeah, this is without the. And this one looks goofy with. Yeah. It looks too modern, even though they would have had wheelbarrows back then. But it looks, I feel, a little bit out of place, perhaps. Maybe if we make it brown like wood, but then the wheel, I'm not sure. Also, I don't know why this doesn't clip to, yeah, okay, so it does sort of clip. Could make it like this, and then have that. Let's put it here for a second. It's not the permanent position. Let's just use move to move it for now. It's gonna do some weird clipping, I guess. Is it even? Yeah, it's not sitting correctly, is it? It's not sitting correctly at all, and it's also tilted in a weird way, so we'd have to move it down like this, and then we probably have to hinge it like so-ish, I guess. Like it is not gonna clip perfectly, I guess, so we sort of have to hinge it, I guess, something like that. It's not gonna sit perfectly, right? So but at least this is a wheelbarrow, and then I feel a market would definitely have something like this. And I think the cool thing about this, if you already have minifigures, you can use your minifigures to be, you know, the salesman. I will probably design for each market stand a salesperson. But obviously, if you were to buy the set with the minifigures, that's gonna really drive the price up, because that's a lot of minifigures, and yeah, minifigures sadly do cost a lot. They do increase the price of a set. But of course, the main character here is the woman and Jesus. So we'll get there. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. Maybe having it like this. Right, of course, that there will be stuff that will be sat in the street like this. And when you're playing with the set, of course, you're going to move this around, because maybe you're going to put this somewhere here. It could very well be there, right? Like, it doesn't per se have to be here. I guess that's the great thing of it being modular, and hopefully it will inspire your child to yeah, create their own scene out of it. So let's have a look. What do we want to do next? One of the things that, and here's where, if we go to want to go this and rotate. that. That's why we have these here. And then the idea was, and I think I would do them black. Yeah, I think that's probably what I would do. And then what we want to go for is the utensils. And then you'll see where I'm going with this. I guess accessories. Because they're gonna be selling something. The issue is there's so many utensils. Yeah, that's not how a broom would look. Not in that era. I even think like they would have had shovels, but would they have had these type of shovels, you know? That's the question. Would they or would they not have, is the question. We'll have to do some research on that. I feel a pitchfork, definitely. Although it would have been this kind of pitchfork, well, that's the question. But you can see where we're going with this, so we'll have to refine this obviously, but each stall will have something different, will be about a different theme. Like one might be equipment like this, another one might be food, another one, yeah, so on. So we want to have all these different market stalls that sell different things, and that's gonna be, I think if I go look through utensils, it's gonna be a very long stream of me looking just at utensils, so let's not do that. Let's focus on actually getting underway. Do one more just to get an idea. There you go. Just because I saw it sitting there right away. I gotta stop looking at that. What we want to do next is look at the modularity. So we've got one that we can have like this. Then I think we should have two tiles that are sort of similar in the sense that they both have the same width, but obviously we'll do different colors. And then I feel we should do a third one that has a very different market stall. So maybe we should even do a really big one, like all the way across. I feel that could be the way forward, actually. The only thing is that I would have to test in the real world whether that would be structurally sound, whether it could support the weight. Because if I remove this one and that one, let's have a look from behind. Let's remove, let's remove, let's remove, let's remove, and then let's remove, let's remove, let's remove. If we take all of this away, and then the issue is going to be that this is going to be an uneven. Alright, so let's do a little trick how we can move all of that one to the side, so let's move this away. Then we go from this angle and select everything like that, and then I'm gonna move it one over. If it will clip, there we go, it does clip. And then we need a 4-piece brick. I'm gonna do this one there, because that is to hold the sign. Now this is gonna be 6 and 6, 12, plus 2, 14. Does that exist? Is the question. A 14 plate. Now that's 12. Yes, it does. So remove. We'll take the 14. Wow, I'm impressed that it actually exists. Actually, I didn't know the 14 also exists. Obviously, it doesn't exist in the single. So the fact that it does in the big one is the real for structural integrity. That's of course what we're looking for. We know, okay, so that's 4 and 4, 12. 12 does exist, so we can take that off. And then we can put the 12 right here. We can also add the 2 like so. And then we just have to put a, if we turn it, whoop, there we go. We can also move this one back. It's a bit strange why it wouldn't. There we go. Back in the same position, all good. Now the real question then is going to be, what is this market stand going to be about? And I feel just for equal spacing, because this is going to be the weird part, we're going to have 4, 2, 3, or if we move it to the left, we're going to have 3, 4, 3. I believe that's going to be better. So let's select all of this, move it 1. Yeah, that's the right position, and then let's select all these as well. Let's get the right angle. Let's just for anyone with OCD, make this the right colors. Now let's take that off. Let's take that one off. Let's quickly take this forward. Whoop. And there we go. Fixed. Let's take all those. I think that would be good. Although this is the same yellow as the heads are, which I don't know if that's the best idea, or whether we should go for a different yellow. Maybe orange? I think that would be better, huh? Just so it doesn't look weird, because we are using yellow for all our minifigs skin color. Oh yeah, no. This one? Yeah, no, that one. There we go. Yeah, I feel we're getting somewhere. Let's also save it so I don't lose all this progress. That would be helpful, right? So, you don't get to see that when I save. You don't get to see my dialogue because I'm literally only streaming that window. It's good and bad. You'd get a little sneak preview, I guess, sometimes if you saw all the other save files and you would know what other sets we are working on. But I guess now you don't. Although if you had a quick look at the big all modular, you might get an idea of what we're working on. So let's see. I guess now the part is to make it more lively, make it look more lived in, and add figures, add what the shop is about. And I'll have to do some research and see what Lego is available that would be sort of era, you know, and fits in this market scene, and that I'll have to do some more research. So, but that's gonna be then in the next video after I've done that research. Let's also make all of this the right color. And if anyone's watching right now and you want to chime in, what color should this market still have, then let me know right now and we can go for that color. Just gonna do the off color so that they all have the same. But what color should this be? Let's go for a color that we haven't done. I might want to change this red as well, but obviously there's certain colors that it wouldn't have been back then. It would definitely have not been purple or magenta. So that was for royalty. That color, to produce that color on fabric was so rare. I think we only developed that color somewhere in the late Middle Ages, en masse. We already did. Perhaps it could be like limey. That looks a little bit vomit inducing. I'll say that. That's not that just doesn't look too contrast with the other. Bright green maybe. Not sure. Not sure. This might make more sense. A little bit washed. We'll leave it like that for now. Can always change it in the future. At least there's some variation now, I feel. And now we just have to add things to make it more alive, to actually make it look lived. That's the next step, I feel. I'm also wondering whether I need to leave this studs, or if we go for something like this, and then in the middle as well there. Let's show you guys what I mean. But then the question is, should all of that be raised so that it's the same level? And what I mean by that is, let's save this real quick, because this is where mistakes can be made. So let's move that away like so. And then what I mean is, then we do a single plate like so. And then when we drag it back, it should look better perhaps, but that I am not sure of. I guess feedback is appreciated, although I feel this looks better than that. The only downside is that when it's smooth with a tile piece, then obviously you can't put anything on the counter, so that's the issue I'm having with that. And I gotta think of a way of how we could possibly construct boxes perhaps that are in front of the market stalls, because I'm thinking we could use up the space in front of the market stalls to also have, you know, boxes like you would have these sort of boxes with food in it or something. But how to construct that, I'll have to have a look at that. But yeah, this is where we're going, and I'll see you on the next stream for more on this project.